These are the 4 RPGs I've put together that I want to finish by the end of the year. There's a lot of good options right there, but you are going to help me out to dive in even deeper. I'm going to show off a bit of my collection, and you are going to comment down below which game in the series I should pick up next to play. You have the power here, and you're helping me out, saving me some time. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing to Bits of Time. This is in response to us reaching that lofty goal of 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much, and let's just dive right in. And we're going to start off with the Tales series, one that I've loved for a very long time. It all started with Vesperia on the 360. That is still one of my favorites, and also Tales of Grace's F. So now you know which two I find the most fun so far in the series. So let's look at the games in my collection and see which one I should play next in this wonderful little series. I honestly don't know much about this entry at all on the PlayStation 1. Tales of Destiny, I picked it up at a retro video game convention quite a few years back. I still have never gotten around to it, so that might be a solid choice, maybe. The second and newest entry, Tales of Berseria, I've heard this is definitely the most modern one. I would probably like the battle system. I enjoyed the battle system of Tales of Arise. It didn't become one of my favorites, but I've heard this one's pretty dark, so that could be cool. The strange stepchild of Tales of Legendia. I think this art style looks phenomenal, but I've not heard the best of things, so if you think you champion this one, give me a really good reason why I should go to this one next, because man, that art style alone looks really cool. Now, I've put a decent amount of times into Talezilia, but my PS3 save file is all gone, so I don't have that anymore. I really enjoyed this. I like that you could pick 2 protagonists. I enjoyed especially the beginning school area, and I did like all the characters, so might be a really solid choice. I really like my PS3, so I wouldn't mind playing some more on there. I've heard nothing but wondrous things about this game. Obviously, the remaster came out, didn't do so hot on the review side, 30 frames per second, but this is the GameCube version. From what I can tell, this seems to be one of the top 3 Tales of games, so maybe this will be the next shot. I think the main character is Lloyd, if I remember correctly. I've been hearing a lot of people champion that one. And of course, another champion is Tales of the Abyss. I have the 3DS version. I could probably grab the PS2 one if that's a better version, if you think so. So there are all my Tales of games. Comment below which one you think I should start with and why. Like I'm presuming many other people out there, I started the SMT series with Persona 5. But I have a lot of other entries in my collection, so let's explore them together. So obviously, I could go with the Persona route again. This is the Fez version. I also have the portable version. So I don't know. It's definitely a mixed bag on which version is better. So there is that. I could go that route. Now, this one I had in my collection. I've only played this maybe an hour or 2. I played this when I was I was probably a teenager. So I wouldn't say I got into this series because I played this a little bit and I guess it wasn't for me. But maybe I would appreciate it now. Also, shout out to Digital Devil Saga being very cheap, including the second one too, which I also have in my collection. Now this copy I'm a little bit hesitant just because I'm not a big first-person dungeon crawler, and I know what this style of game is, but I've also heard really good things about this entry. It's like more of a horror style game, so maybe that would be intriguing. I don't know. And of course, you got these guys, Shin Megami Tensei 4 and Apocalypse. Now I know I should not start with 4 because it is a direct sequel. That's what I've heard, at least. If you can comment if you think differently. I've heard mixed things about this. I don't know if that's from the really diehard fans about this series, but it feels like ever since 5 came out, people are looking a little bit more praisingly on this version, so who knows? And then we have these, Devil Survivor Overclocked and Devil Survivor 2 Record Breaker. I just started getting into strategy RPGs, so, I mean, this might be my next step. I really enjoyed Fire Emblem 3 Houses on the Switch. I'm new to the strategy RPG genre, but I don't know. I've heard really good things about this one. Obviously, I'd probably start with this one. I think from what I've heard from hearsay is that number 1 has a better story, 2 has better game mechanics, but I could be wrong. But there are all my choices, so comment down below which one you think I should dive into next, because I'm really itching for another Shin Megami game. Since I just mentioned Fire Emblem, we might as well go to Fire Emblem. Now, it seems like a lot of people love this game. So obviously my only entry into Fire Emblem is Three Houses. This seems to be like the go-to one for people getting into the series. Should I play this one next? One I found very intriguing, this was the first Fire Emblem game I believe I ever bought, was the Shadows of Valentia Echoes. I like that there is dungeon crawling elements, the third person, not first person, from what I can see, so I found that to be kind of intriguing. Seems like a little bit of the black sheep of the series. Now, you could go with this convoluted thing. Apparently I can't play the third one anymore because of the eShop closure. I've definitely heard mixed things. One is more for hardcore audiences, one is more for new. I think I have that in the right order. So, I don't know. I think I would choose Awakening over that unless somebody can really sell me on that one. And then I have this big bad boy right here. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. My boy Ike from Super Smash is in this one. I don't know if this is actually a good game. I know it's very pricey. That's the only thing I really know about it. But it looks really darn cool. Maybe this would be the next step. So what would you choose out of all those options right there? Let me know. A series that's coming back in a spiritual successor sort of way, and that is the lovely Wild Arms series. Now, I only have experience with Wild Arms 1. I've played a decent chunk of that game, probably 3/4 of the way through that one. I haven't finished it. I gotta find my save file on my PlayStation 1. So obviously a next choice could be going to Wild Arms 2, which has one of the best opening animated sequences. That frickin' trumpet or whatever that instrument is, I'm pretty sure it's a trumpet, sounds delightful. I'll probably be playing that music in the background because I've heard mixed things on this one. Some people really enjoy the first one over number 2, so I like that this one has different characters and it's a little bit longer from what I've heard. Whether that's good or not, I know it changed from pixel art to more 3D polygons, but I could be wrong. Then there is Wild Arms 3 on the PS2. I've heard mixed things about this one. I don't know. Unsure on that guy. The one that really intrigued me was Wild Arms 5, and that is because of the hex system. I found that looks really intriguing, the battle system itself. And I've heard that this did better than Wild Arms 4. They improved on the hex system itself, so probably that would be a good one to jump into versus 4. I don't even have 4 in my collection, unfortunately, whether that's a good thing or not. So not many options to choose from, but which one would you go with? The Ys games are one of the best action RPGs out there, hands down. The music, the just swift, easy combat, and the grind can be so satisfying. Now, there are quite a few games that I've beaten, I've played, but there are some that I need to get back to, and some that I've never even touched. And the first one is Ys 7. I believe this is the first entry where you start going to flipping between other party members. So that can be a divisive thing for some Ys fans out there. Some people just like controlling Adel, but I really enjoyed Ys 9 quite a bit, so maybe this would be a good one to try out. Not a huge fan of playing on the PSP, so that is what it is. But it's there, and it looks pretty intriguing. I love that box art, dude. It's just so colorful. And of course, the big bad boy is Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana. I got decently far in this, but there was supposed to be a translation patch with the Vita, and then they patched it, and it almost got worse in some regards. So I've also heard that the PS5, PS4 versions have extra content, so I might snag that one up, but I really enjoyed my time with that one. So I do want to get back, and I know that is considered probably the best Ys game, but I could also get back to Ys Origin, where it all began. Now, I heard this is a decently shorter one, but it's got 3 different characters, which is kind of makes it fun. I like the unlocking the routes and going through it again. This is one of the very few series that I like to beat over and over again, kind of like to get all the trophies or whatever, or just see multiple endings. I usually don't do that with these games, but these games just have a turn off your brain and just grind through them. And one I played just the opening of it because I wanted to see if this would be an interesting one for Larry to play on our podcast. If you didn't know, we do have a podcast. You can search Bits of Time on and like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you choose. But I know this is a YouTube video, so we're going to stick with that. I really, really liked like the 30 minutes to an hour that I played this game. I died quite a few times in that 30 minutes to an hour, but really liking the story setup and everything about this one. It screamed just, yes, let me just keep playing this. But I didn't, because I was testing out other games, and YouTube takes a lot of the time away too. So out of these ones, which one would you go for next? Pokemon. You gotta catch them all, right? Well, at least I feel like I've been collecting them all. Now, the only Pokemon game I've ever beaten is Legends of Arceus, or Arceus. And I've really enjoyed my time with that game. I don't know if going back to the older ones will help me out. I have very little experience with Pokemon. It's basically Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Y, and then Legends of Arceus. But I have a lot in my collection. A lot of people gave Pokemon Sword and Shield some crap, but I played the first 5-ish hours. It didn't totally hook me, but I was trying to play with my niece, and she just blew through the game. I couldn't catch up, so I was like, I'll drop it for now. But maybe this would be a good option to go back to it, because it's a little bit more modern. Not that it matters to me, because I go back to old games all the time. I could relive my Pokemon Blue dreams with Let's Go Pikachu. A little bit different twist. Maybe I could finally beat that game. I don't remember where I stopped, but I definitely did not get to Victory Road or anything like that. Or I could go the route of Pokemon White and Black. These have been the most intriguing that I've collected from the Pokemon franchise, just because I've heard for a Pokemon game, it seems like the story is the most profound in these games. Why that is and how overblown that could be, I don't really know. I don't know which version I would go with either. But, for a Pokemon game that might have a better story, that sounds kind of intriguing to me. I could also go the DS route as well with Pokemon Pearl. I kind of recognize this guy from Legends Arceus, so I don't know if I want to go that route just because I've already seen him. And I could go the one that also changed things up, so maybe I would like that because Legends Arceus changed things up, so maybe I would enjoy Ultra Sun. Now, should I grab Ultra or just regular Sun first? Let me know in the comments below. I really don't know what the difference between those two are. So there's a lot of Pokemon action going on there. What would you play first? And since we're talking about Pokemon and monster collecting games, I do have Yokai Watch 2 and 3. I've only played the first one, so I don't know which one I should go with next. I've heard good things. I really enjoyed Yokai Watch for what it was, so that might be a good entry to go into. Then we also have Digimon. I've never played a Digimon game before. I've heard these are some of the better ones, and so it looks pretty cool going into a virtual world. And then you have this other one, Nexomon Extinction. Looks like a Pokemon knockoff to me. I do like the art style. So if you'd recommend any of those ones, comment down below. And to end this all, we're going to do a little grab bag one. So these are JRPGs that are either one-offs, or I just have one in the series, or I have just the last remaining game to play in the series. So, to start things off, Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers Edition, adds a little story. I really enjoyed Chrono Trigger. I played that for the first time 2 years ago. I've heard mixed things about Chrono Cross. Music-wise, outstanding. But I know they just patched this version of the game too. I do have it on PS1 as well, so that might be a good choice. Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus, I've heard this is the Persona knockoff series, or Persona Amateur, like not as up to snuff. But I've played a little bit of this when I was just testing out a bunch of games on my PS5, and I enjoyed this for what it was. It's an action RPG, so I found that intriguing. Had a little school sim action going on, and quite intriguing. So I've heard pretty good things about that one. I don't really know anything about this game, Thousand Arms. All I know is that I think you date your weapons or something like that. So that sounds kind of weird, kind of unusual. I do like unique games, so if anybody has any recommendations for this one over those two guys right there, let me know. Infinite Space. I've heard this can be a chore. I do like Sega. I do like Atlas games. This is Got a bunch of space combat, which I hear is very in-depth. So space opera type of game. That could be fun. A little change of pace. I don't really play too many space RPGs. I don't really know anything about Artanelico, Melody of Elmia? I don't even know how to pronounce this game. It looks cool. I just bought it randomly. I don't know. One of those PS2 RPGs that I like. Sakura Wars? So Long My Love. I've heard this is kind of like got some dating sim elements. The art style looks really cool. But I've heard actually pretty surprisingly good things about this game. It's a little bit on the shorter side, which could be a fun game to breeze through maybe after I get through the plethora of summer games that are coming out. So who knows? Is there any diehard fans out there with this one? Good old Level 5. Level 5 is getting a resurgence, so I've never tackled Rogue Galaxy. My little brother really enjoyed this game. I also have it on the PS4, I believe, with the trophies. I don't know much about this, knowing it's just got a really cool art style and, yeah, action role-playing game it looks like. So there you have it. I remember seeing this at Best Buy a long time ago. Always wanted to pick it up. Never did. Until now. And then we got a good old Skies of Arcadia Legends. I borrowed this from a friend. I want to say it's probably longer. It's probably like 6 years ago now. And I enjoyed my time with it. I gave it back to him because I know this copy was getting expensive. So I bought my own. Haven't put it back in. I thought the ship battles were a little but I like the vibe of this game. And the battle system was really cool. And then we have Monachemia, Alchemists of El Revis. I think I picked this up because I wanted to get into the Tellier series, and this seemed like a happy medium. I think it's, more action-oriented, I think. I'm not really sure what the difference is, but it definitely has crafting at its center, so I don't know how much different this is from the Tellier series, but that could be an option too. So that is a big grab bag worth of games. There you have it. Give me one you think is top tier in this category. So again, huge shout out. I can't wait to see your recommendations on which games I should get to next. And I hope you're as excited as I am, because I really am curious about so many of these games. And I'll also take suggestions on what type of content you would like to see if I dive into some of these. Now, my backlog is ginormous, but again, you're helping me out narrowing these down, so I ain't wasting my time on the duds. Thank you so much, and on to the next 1,000K. It's been wild.